Hello students, welcome to the program. The topic selected for the program is Components of Education and their Mutual Relationship, Pupils, Teacher, Curriculum and Educational Institution. The objectives set for the lecture are to understand the process of education briefly, to understand pupil, teacher, curriculum and educational institution as the integral parts of the educational process, and lastly, to know about the relationship existing between these four components of educational process. Dear students, let's understand education as a process first. Education is a systematic process through which a child or an adult acquires knowledge, experience, skills, and sound attitude. It makes an individual civilized, refined, cultured, and educated. For a civilized and socialized society, education is the only means. Back in the 1500s, the word education meant the raising of children, but it also meant the training of animals. While there are probably a few teachers who feel like animal trainers, but education these days has come to mean either teaching or the process of acquiring knowledge. Education in the broadest sense of the term is meant to aid the human being in his or her pursuit of wholeness. Wholeness implies the harmonious development of all the potentialities God has given to a human being. Is the key to solve the various problems of life. Education is the process of facilitating learning or the acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, beliefs and habits. John Dewey holds, education is a tripolar process and not a bipolar one. The educational process not only has a psychological side involving the educator and the educand, it has the sociological aspect too. The educand has to live in and for the society he belongs to. True education comes through the stimulation of educand's endowment by the demands of the social situation in which he or she finds them. The educator requires stimulating the educand's power in the total social setting. Thus, the social aspect of educational process becomes more important than the psychological aspect. Hence, educational process is tripolar in nature, as it involves the interaction between the two of the three, namely the social factors, the educator and the educand. The function of the educator becomes then the modification of the personality of the educand in the light of the needs of the society. This modification of personality does not happen on its own. Educator has some aims as per social demands in his mind, which the educand has to realize through various activities in a particular setting set by the educator. These activities carried out by the educator in order to modify the educand's personality are collectively termed as curriculum. And the setting where this curriculum is worked out is termed as educational institution or school. Thus, in the process of education, the most important components apart from society include educator or teacher, educand or pupil, curriculum and educational institution. Dear students, let's try to understand these one by one and their relation with each other. First, the teacher. The teacher is the yardstick that measures the achievements and aspirations of the nation. The worth and potentialities of a country get evaluated in and through the work of the teacher. A teacher not only has a thorough knowledge of his subject, but also he must know man, the society at large. He must have a clear vision about everything he comes into contact. A teacher must have a definite outlook on life, optimistic or pessimistic, positive or negative, materialistic or idealistic. Any one of these beliefs will affect the various problems of education: the aims, the discipline, the curricula, the methods, the techniques of teaching, and the organization. So, a teacher must have an adequate and sound philosophy. He must have a thorough grounding in philosophy. John Dewey is of the view that education frequently takes place under the guidance of educators, but learners may also educate themselves. In the attempt of defining quality education, it's of crucial importance to reflect on what is needed of the teacher to provide quality education. There have been many attempts to list the characteristics of the good teacher. Sometimes such lists tend to give a picture of a kind of superman, superwoman, and may be more discouraging for teachers than helpful. In spite of that risk, it may be of interest to look at some of the more enlightened attempts to describe the good teacher. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, report Quality in Teaching 1994 defines teacher quality in 5 dimensions. First, knowledge of substantive areas and content. Second, pedagogic skill, including the acquisition and ability to use a repertoire of teaching strategies. Next, reflection and ability to be self-critical, the hallmark of teacher professionalism. Then, empathy and commitment to the acknowledgement of the dignity of others. Then, managerial competence, as teachers assume a range of managerial responsibilities within and outside the classroom. Then second is the pupils. This is the most important of the 3 elements, not only because students are more important than process or situation, but primarily because without the learner there is no teaching. The learner is the focus of any teaching. It's obvious that unless someone is learning, there is no teaching, just as there is no selling unless someone is buying. The word learner is used for persons who individually or collectively comprise the class and on whose behalf educational programs exist and operate. Before the learner is taught, his individuality and personality is studied. Therefore, in order to explore the individual's life, teacher has to keep in mind certain things like learner's instincts and other innate abilities, the learned and acquired abilities, individual differences in terms of abilities and capacities, their interests, aptitudes, attitudes, intelligence and creativity, and mental health and personality. Apart from these things, some factors are to be considered by a teacher regarding the learner, which include family background, prior knowledge, motivation, developmental level, interests, attitude. The third component of educational process is the curriculum. In formal education, a curriculum is the set of courses and their content offered at a school or a university. A curriculum is prescriptive and is based on a more general syllabus which merely specifies what topics must be understood and to what level to achieve a particular grade or standard. The word curriculum begins as a Latin word which means a race or the course of a race, referring to the course of deeds and experiences through which children grow to become mature adults. There is no generally agreed upon definition of curriculum. The term curriculum refers to the lessons and academic content taught in a school or in a specific course or program. In dictionaries, curriculum is often defined as the courses offered by a school, but it is rarely used in such a general sense in schools. Depending on how broadly educators define or employ the term, curriculum typically refers to the knowledge and skills students are expected to learn, which includes the learning standards or learning objectives they are expected to meet, the units and lessons that teachers teach, the assignments and projects given to the students, the books, materials, videos, presentations, and reading used in a course, and the tests, assessments, and other methods used to evaluate students' learning. An individual teacher's curriculum, for example, would be the specific learning standards, lessons, assignments, and material used to organize and teach a particular course. Then the fourth component of educational process, that is the educational institution. The society establishes educational institutions or schools to provide education to its members. School acts as a social agency and an agency of social control. School is an institution that fulfills the needs of the society. School transmits the cultural heritage to the younger generations. It's the educational institution wherein curriculum is worked out in order to mold the innate capacities of child so as to fit in the society. It makes the individual a social being. The school provides better understanding for interpersonal and intergroup relationship. School is a miniature society. School reflects all qualities of society. Individuals should develop according to the needs of the society. School must become child's habitat to be a miniature society. Goals and methods are decided by the society. Society is dynamic. It grows and changes, and as such these social changes must not only be reflected in education but also must affect it. The goals and aims are decided according to the nature of society. School transmits culture with necessary changes. Culture changes from generation to generation with the influence of other cultures. Moreover, there may be traditional dogmas and orthodox superstitious beliefs in the existing culture. School considers these things and transmits the modified culture to the younger generation. The schools established by society remodels the future society so as to fit in the ever-changing world. Dear students, now let's have a look over the relationship between teacher, pupil, curriculum, and educational institution. From the present discussion, we can say the teacher, pupil, curriculum, and educational institution are integral and interdependent parts of educational process. Here are some points which will make us understand how these components are related to each other. First, Plato has defined philosopher as, quote, one who has a taste for every sort of knowledge, one who is curious to learn and is never satisfied, unquote. A teacher needs to study philosophy as a person and as a teacher. It helps him to keep manifold relations with his pupil. Number second, the course of study of a particular degree or diploma is prepared by teachers. Knowledge of psychology is helpful in developing curricula of different levels of students in different subjects. The developmental characteristics and needs of the students are also taken into account by teachers while formulating of curriculum. Number third, the teacher is a dynamic force of any educational institution. A school without teacher is just like a body without soul, a skeleton without flesh and blood, a shadow without substance. There is no greater need in educational institutions for the cause of education today than the need for strong, manly men and motherly women as teachers for the young. As social engineers, the teachers can socialize and humanize the young by their man-like qualities. Number 4. We speak of education as a lamp lighting another lamp, one life making another life, and a spirit speaking to another spirit. This objective can be achieved if the teachers have good mental health. It has been observed that students develop interest in those substances which are taught by pleasing and genial teachers. It is teacher who can make a congenial atmosphere in educational institutions or classrooms. A good teacher can create love, interest, and enthusiasm for learning and a taste in the subject he teaches. Number 5, education is to have all-round development of the child. The curricular exercise develops only cognitive aspect of the child. Therefore, curricular activities are complemented with other activities like games, sports, scouting, debates, cultural programs, etc. for wholesome development of the child. Number 6. Educational institutions are helpful in suggesting principles, methods and techniques for the selection of learning experiences appropriate to each development stage of the children. Educational institutions, educationists and teachers collectively enunciate how to organize the content or topics grade-wise for giving them the shape of a syllabus or curriculum, even how to cater to the individual differences and individuality of the children while framing the syllabi or curricula. Number 7. Learning experiences are planned, selected and arranged as per the age, grade and specific individual potentialities of children. For this, teachers are equipped with essential knowledge and skills also. Number 8. As pointed out in Secondary Education Commission, quote, every teacher and educationist of experience knows that even the best curriculum and the most perfect syllabus remains dead unless quickened into life by the right method of teaching and the right kind of teachers, unquote. Number 9. Educational institutions provide a platform for the successful completion of curricular and extracurricular activities. They provide students with strong components of culture, help in inculcation of values, awareness of environment, adventure activities and physical education. Number 10. One of the objectives of education is to equip students with knowledge and skills which are needed to participate effectively as members of society and contribute towards the development of shared values and common identity. As such, while formulating the curriculum, such content and activities are to be included which help in realizing this objective. Number 11. Education has a vital role to play in assisting students to understand their cultural identity. Education acts as the distribution mechanism of the cultural values, such as it more layer the society and participate in society that carries the culture. Various co-curricular activities organized by the educational institution cater this need of society. Number 12. Education mainly begins at home. One does not acquire knowledge from a teacher. One can learn and get knowledge from parents, family members, or the elders of the society. But almost in all societies, receiving education and attending school is very necessary if one wants to achieve success. Education is the key to move in the world, seek better jobs and ultimately succeed in life. Schools play a vital role in preparing our children and young people for effective participation and responsible citizenship in society. The development of curriculum and educational opportunities is built on creativity tempered by knowledge and wisdom gained through the experience of learning. Number 13. Interpersonal relationship among the teachers and administrators also determine how successfully a teacher will be in a position to serve the educational institution and how far the objectives of education are realized. Number 14. One of the aims of education is to explore the innate capacities of an individual. The educational institution provides impartial and democratic atmosphere to the students. It provides freedom of expression to the students to explore their innate power. The students' problems are solved sympathetically through mutual discussion and understanding. Number 15. The selection of desirable learning resources for the learner is essential. Selection of resources is done by the teacher as per the prescribed curriculum. But it is the educational institution which provides teachers with these resources. Some of the learning resources include print media, books, newspapers, magazines, audiovisuals, television, films, multimedia, computers, online or offline, museum visits, exhibitions, etc. So, dear students, we may conclude that education is a tripolar process. It involves the interaction between the two of the three, namely the social factors, the teacher and the pupil. The job of the teacher is the modification of the personality of the pupil in the light of the needs of the society. This modification of personality does not happen on its own. Modify the pupil's personality are collectively termed as curriculum, and the setting where this curriculum is worked out is termed as educational institution or school. Thus, in the process of education, the most important components apart from society include teacher, pupil, curriculum and educational institution. None of these four can be ignored. These four components are interdependent. They work collectively and effectively for the successful completion of educational process. That's all about this topic. I hope you understood the content and enjoyed the program. Thanks for watching.